What's your one piece of gear that like is the game changer for what you do creatively on a day-to-day basis?
Well, it's cheating to say computer, right?
No, we had someone actually say hard drives. So
someone said hard drives. Do you want to guess who said their phone?
Who?
Because it was Soupy, right? Like, so that's totally it. But also it's just like the thing that like in a way kind of like Marie Kondo's your energy, right? So if that's your computer, which it is a nucleus, that's true. But maybe there's,
so the gear has changed since we did the upsides a lot, but so has, the software for the computer, and it's become so much more powerful. And I wish that we could have had these tools back then.
Shout out the tools.
I'm much better, doing what I do now than I was back then. We had plugins back then and auto-tune. And
yeah, this wasn't 30 years ago. Yeah.
It's gotten so much better that you can make records totally with that. I have all this outboard gear that I probably don't need. It's more just fun, and annoying at the same time. But it's got to be like just how software has developed. But if you want to hear something about a piece of gear, I really like the retro.
Nope. I want to hear whatever you want to tell me. Also, real quick, Vince, quick question. What is your DAW, your digital audio workstation of choice right now?
Is that important?
For me, it is.
I'm using Digital Performer.
I love that about you.
Which is an odd choice. Not a lot of people mixing, I think, use that. I use Pro Tools for your sessions because they came to me in Pro Tools, but then I put them in Digital Performer, and that's where I mix them.
And that's a comfort thing, or is there anything specific about the flow you like?
Well, probably. It's more that I just don't like Avid.
Yeah.
At one point, I had like all the DAWs like years ago, but and I was most comfortable in Digital Performer. And I mean, it's not that I love it. It's just that I hate all of them, and I hate that one the least. After I just say that's like the best thing, right? I don't know if it really makes a difference. They have different features and handle things different ways, and I'm just used to it.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. I always love that, and not to put you on the spot for anything, just because I always think that's interesting, and especially now with so many things being passed around and back and forth, I always take note of it in the same way that I took note of the fact that I was like, Derek from Mayday Parade doesn't use in-ears when he sings live at these huge shows. I'm just like, what? Rest of the band on ears, I'm just like,
I mix Black Lines.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, yeah. You've worked with them before too, right?
Yeah.
That's right. Oh, wow. What a small world. Only smaller with each day passing. So, okay. So you're taking it, if we're talking about like in the box, right? Which I've effectively brought the purview of this Gear Candy segment in the box now. What's like the one, because you're right, it's all tools, and it's mostly about how you use them. What's your like one favorite go-to? Because for this season, we also have like a couple like really cool like partnerships with Isotope and Arturia and some stuff like that. But if there's like one like plugin or bundle that you always use and you just love in your mix process now, what is it?
Well, I don't have any deals with any companies or anything.
Right. And this
Sound Radix makes stuff that nobody else makes. And there are plenty of companies that I adore, like Universal Audio and the Steven Slate stuff and Fab Filter. But some of that stuff is a lot of like, well, this is our take on this piece of gear, right? That a hardware piece of gear, but Sound Radix makes a lot of stuff that no one's thought of to make. And they have a plugin called Pi. And what it does, or what I use it for, I don't even know if that's what it's really supposed to do. I think they call it an auto mixer, but I use it on drums. And it's a phase alignment tool, but it does it in a way where I was mixing this record where whenever I had the phase fine on the drums, and I would push up the rooms. And whenever I would do that, it would just get weird. Because, you want like on some certain fills and just certain moments, you got to ride the rooms. It just sounded weird. I forget exactly what was happening. Maybe it was getting all muddy, or even if you would try to cut it out, and it was a phasing issue. So I found this company, I found this plugin, and it goes on, it should be a post fader insert, but you can't do that in Pro Tools. Another reason I don't like it. So it goes on every, drum piece, and it'll put it in phase in real time. So even if the mic's moving, or if you change your processing in the chain upstream from it, because when you use a high pass filter, which people use a lot of, that really affects the phase.
Oh yeah.
And if people don't know, when you change the phase on something, you can take away the punch in the low end, among other things. But this will let you keep everything in phase, kind of no matter what happens. I can't live without it.
We love that. Oh my God.
It's the first plugin that I put in my session when I start.
Is it Auto Mixer? Is that what she said?
PI.
Right. Okay. Wow. We will definitely have to put that in the notes, and I'm going to go get it right now. That's the exact thing I'm looking for, because we've gone back and forth. And again, like on this record, just like mixing drums, there's like a ton of there was a talk about drum sounds and putting together different songs that were tracked in different rooms as well. And I love that because I love the drums. The drum sound great. And anybody specifically, if you've ever mixed or tried to do your own home productions or mix drum kits, if you get to a certain point you start being like unraveling that like phase thread, you're like, oh, this is kind of everything. Yeah.
You might not be like, oh, I hear a phasing issue. You'd be like, well, when I have my snare soloed and my snare bottom soloed, even though I flip the phase, they sound good, but when I mix them together, it's just not like, or when I bring up the overhead, something weird happens. So it can be hard for someone to maybe pinpoint that that's the issue, but I feel like phase is always an issue on drums. You got to start with it though. You can't mix your drums and then drop it on, because all the low end that you were missing before suddenly comes back and it's all bulky and, so start with it.
Incredible. I think this may be one of my favorite gear candy items. I gotta go get it and at least check it out, because it sounds from a pure engineering and then mix standpoint. Yeah. Like so many of those situations where it's like, right, the mic did get bumped on like the second, take that, but I like that fill. Yeah.
Right. Because there are other tools to do, there are plenty of like phase alignment tools, but it won't account for that. Right.
Right.
Or gear change, like on a bass amp, or drum changes,
Well, and even the bass, you mentioned, like tracking bass, if you're multi-tracking or doing a DI and an amp, you throw another pedal in the chain halfway, it flips the phase, and you might not realize that it might be for only one small section. And then if you have no idea what you're maybe missing for that section, if you just have kind of a static balance, it's super intuitive. Wow, what a great tip. Thanks, Vince.
Yeah, I've used it on guitar parallel buses before, bass, mainly on drums. And it's unreal that like people don't know about this company and plugin. Like people know them for a plugin called Auto Align.
Yeah,
right.
Where you would use it for something like a bass guitar with a DI, and it lines them all up so they start at the same time.
Yeah, no, definitely familiar with Auto Align. I know a lot of people might be with that, but this sounds like the next level, in the matrix, so to speak. I love that, dude. That's amazing. Well, thanks. We'll have to look into it. Appreciate you sharing that with us, dude.